Welcome everybody to the Latin Nerds Network. My name is Jose and this is the premiere episode of Thanos Choice, our nerdy take on Sophie's Choice, where it's all about making a tough decisions. You see a lot of very lovely faces here on the screen and using that term incredibly loosely, who I will introduce shortly. But of course, Thanos Choice is all about making a tough choice here. We're going to be focusing on the world of television and movies every episode, where our guests will discuss or debate between actor versus actor, actors versus actors, directors, movies, sequels, franchises, villains, sidekicks. The possibilities are endless, and they will have to decide which one is worthy to remain and which one shall be snapped out of existence. Now, we love audience participation, so at the end of the show, comment below, did we make the right choice? Who would you have dusted and why? And give us ideas of who to compare down the road. But this is Thanos Choice, so come correct. We don't want nonsense. We don't want do Tom Cruise versus Johnny Knoxville or some nonsense. We'll do Tom Cruise versus Tom Hanks, whose resume is better. We'll do Aliens versus Terminator 2. Or maybe compare things that are real shitty. You know, maybe we'll do Highlander 2 versus Batman and Robin, which sequel is not quite as bad as the other and deserves to remain. We'll probably do those topics down the road. But that being said, let me introduce those who will have to make this decision for. It will not be I. I'm here as an innocent bystander, an observer, moderator, sometimes instigator. Unfortunately, Thanos could not join us today, so I am here on his behalf as his proxy, if you will. I am here, and of course, bestowed upon me is this very beautiful and very powerful, of course, Infinity Gauntlet, of which I will use to snap away based of the decision of our guest. So that being said, let's make the rounds here, and let's start with, let's go live from Houston, the ambassador of all things love. He's the co-host of the Watch List you see in this channel every Sunday, where we review all the shows that come on in streaming. Chewy, Senor Jaime, how you doing?
What up, brother? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. I know you're still bummed out because we can compare Johnny Knoxville to your fantasy football team. It's that bad. But that being said, I don't want to dwell on that. We have, of course, we have live from Georgia. We have a very funny comedian who's no stranger to the Latin Nerds Network, who is the host of Nerdsplaining, of which I co-host along with him. I'm his Nightwing to his Batman, if we will, where we take a deep dive in all things geek and nerd, movies, TVs, television. The Brazilian sensation himself, the man who's been deemed adorably offensive, Mr. Eric Da Silva. What's going on?
Hi, everybody. Or as I like to call myself, unofficially a world champion because I happen to be here. So I'm just saying, go Braves, even though I'm a Mets fan. I'm taking any kind of win.
You're taking ownership of that. Okay.
Bandwagon. Yeah, I'm doing it. Just for spite. Just for spite.
Right,
I'm doing it.
Let's start the snapping right now. Sorry, Eric. We're going to have to let you go. You know, this is for you, Eric, right here. How about that? That being said, last but not least, we have, of course, a man who's, again, no stranger to the network. He did a retrospective, a wake of the Die Hard franchise upon hearing of its demise. You can cast it here on this channel. He's a CFO of Left Field Productions, one of the sponsors here today. Depending what part of the world you're in, he's either the Spaniard or the Cuban sensation. Welcome, Senor Jorge. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How you guys doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Good.
It's good to see where we're living is blurred. That's nice. We appreciate that. You know?
See, there you go, man. I'm glad you appreciate it. Bro. Sometimes, it's good.
George doesn't want you to see the back of his third yacht. That's why.
That's what it is.
Stay humble. Stay humble, man.
Hey, that's what it is.
But that being said, but George, I do owe George an apology here because I know we were talking several times before we did the show today. And he was really hoping that we would do a TV show Scandal versus Once Upon a Time. But nay, George. Well, none of that nonsense here, dude. We're not doing it. No. Sorry.
Yeah, I know my 7 seasons of Once Upon a Time, man. Against those 2 seasons of Scandal or whatever that was.
The fact that you know the seasons is sad enough. But that being said, but I am happy to say we are going to compare 2 comedic giants in movie history. But we'll get to that in a second, because with any main event, there's always an undercard. Before the meal, there's an appetizer, if you will. And these guys have not been privy to the appetizer here. And this is kind of get us going, to get cleanse the palate, get us in the right frame of mind. So Eric, I'm going to start with you here. as the honorary, probably biggest nerd of us all, no question.
Yeah,
I'm very proud of
I
that,
mean,
and you should be.
Chewy's got the background to rep his nerdom, and I have to give credit where credit's due. But I spent many years not being able to talk to girls, so in your face. So, yeah,
take that and shove it. So we're gonna, Eric, start with you. We're gonna compare two franchises. And these franchises, which are classics, I think the argument is going to rely on the strength of the first film, as both these franchises' subsequent sequels they didn't quite live up to expectations. But again, we're comparing franchises, not the individual film anyway. So that being said, Eric, we're going to do Back to the Future versus the Matrix franchise. Back to the Future versus the Matrix franchise. So, Eric, I know we're all big fans of this, of course.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
So, which one would you snap away and why?
All right. First things first. Both first movies are fucking amazing. Like the first Matrix and the first Back to the Future.
No argument there.
If you don't like those movies, then whatever your uncle did to you was worse than I expected. Like those are amazing. Turn your brains off. Just enjoy the magic of like being in this world kind of movies. It's fantastic. Now, I have to say this. Both these franchises kind of suffer from the same problem where there was no real sequel planned for it. There was hopes, maybe a rough idea. And because of the success of the first movie, everyone scrambled and said, let's fucking do something. The difference is that I feel Back to the Future had enough time to really work out what they wanted to do with the second and the third movie. And the Matrix trilogy kind of got high on their own supply on like how great they were and just said, we're going to change the game. So instead of making a good trilogy, they try to make the ultimate trilogy. And I think that's where they fell short. When you start thinking that you are the greatest of all time, you'd stumble. And The Matrix really doubled down on CG and fighting on a ridiculous level. And hopefully the effects will make our subtle philosophical arguments seem cooler than they actually are. And Back to the Future is like, how do we do time travel differently and then take what we established in 1 and 2 and make them sort of merge together into 3, into something that kind of feels like the first 2, but a little different. And I think that is where a trilogy works best, is when you can take the first idea for a movie, represent it in a different context, and then your third movie takes both ideas and makes one you think to kind of show it's all been connected, but not. The Matrix flirts with that, say what you will about the second Matrix, but the Merovingian explaining choice versus want, the pleasure sensations of free will, while that girl has a strawberry and then orgasms while eating, which, by the way, a difficult scene to explain when you're watching with your kids. Little FYI for you guys there. But that being said, they had those moments, like even the whole big idea of Agent Smith becoming a virus and having to let Neo die to become bigger was a good idea. Ham-fisting a Christ analogy into it a little bit too much. Like I said, hire their own supply. You didn't need an underground rave scene. You could have just had a couple people fucking before a fight. That would have been fine. You didn't have to have a whole, this is Zion. Like Zion, to me, should have been more like a peaceful Mad Max instead of like what the worst version of what Bob Marley meant. You know what I mean? Like that's not how it should have been. So that being said, overall, I'd say Back to the Future better than The Matrix, only because on top of everything else, better ideas, more pacing, had the time to develop that kind of stuff. Back to the Future featured Johnny Be Good again, and then had ZZ Top on the third act. And it's heavily implied as an influence on Avengers Endgame. I got to give it to Back to the Future. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. One for Back to the Future. Let's go, George. Who gets dusted here?
Well, I hate to argue against Eric here, but, because I know that he's all talking about all Marvel Endgame and all that stuff about the theory of time travel and all that stuff. Yes, that is true. But the thing is, now if you were to compare on this day and age, you can't really show Back to the Future anymore because everybody gets so offensive. So the backstory behind it, where a guy goes back and gets in love with his mom and all this stuff, like
you're
you
wrong
cannot
there.
show that.
He did not fall in love with his mom. His mom fell in love with him. That's totally different.
Could be that's a fair point.
Okay, fine.
I'm not sure what the woke community falls on that, to be honest with you.
But fine. But when
she didn't know.
Falls in love with her kid and all this other stuff, like you cannot show that now in 2021 with all this influence and all this other stuff. So
I disagree.
She
literally says kissing you feels like I'm kissing my brother.
Maybe Dave Chappelle's the only one who can do that.
It stopped.
Maybe, but still, I have to give it to the Matrix. That Matrix trilogy, to me, more influential movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. The first Back to the Future is great. And then even though the second one tried to build up, and what you said, it was true. They try to build on what they had. They try to do a good job. And it felt like the second movie did a lot of what the first one made it successful, and they try to go through it. And that made it worthy. But the thing is, the third movie was horrible. Like the third movie to me, I didn't really like. Like the whole future? Western.
Really?
Yeah, the Back West. Okay. I didn't really like it. It's good, but I didn't really like it. The whole Doc Brown trying to fall in love with no sé qué cosa, the ravine, trying to change the ravine, whatever. I didn't really like it. Now the Matrix trilogy to me was better. I mean, more influential, more stuff, like I said.
I honestly thought, George, your critique about woke culture against Back to the Future 3 would have been that moment with Doc Brown's like, oh, here's your problem. It was made in China. Like, I thought that was going to be your big complaint.
Right? I mean, listen, I enjoyed the Back to the Future and the influence that it had on Endgame and all the stuff that it's bringing to pop culture. Don't get me wrong. I like the influence and I like it. But when you put what the Matrix has done and what they did in comparison to the Matrix and how all the other movies try to be with the Matrix, you can't deny the influence that the Matrix trilogy has had in comparison to Back to the Future. So if I, even though there's influence and all that other stuff, when you look upon the impact on culture, when you look upon the impact on everything else, the Matrix to me, it's a better trilogy than the Back to the Future. So I would snap Back to the Future. Don't get me wrong.
Wow.
I like all the three movies. Yes, sir. I like the three movies. I like everything that Back to the Future brings. But when you look at the impact of Back to the Future as a whole, I'm not talking about the first one, because the first one is great and it's been influential and it has been used for everything that a true movie should be. But remember, the crisis here and the criteria here is you're looking at the whole trilogy as a whole.
True.
And they're making a fourth Matrix movie, as a matter of fact. They're not making any more Back to the Future movies.
But
if you think about that,
shouldn't that be a sign that they need to make a fourth one to kind of rechange everyone's taste of what the original trilogy was like? Let's recontextualize this because we didn't nail it exactly. So we got to do one more time.
That's
maybe.
A fair point. And maybe think the argument changes after we see the fourth one. Well, that's a different.
Yeah, but that Zemeckis. By the way, that Zemeckis and Michael J. Fox right now no puede. And Doc Brown, he came out in this movie recently. Y está un poco gastado, Doc Brown. But he came out in this movie recently. I can't remember.
Nobody. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, listen, as long as he can still be Rick from Rick and Morty, I'm fine.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a couple, so I'm saying, in the scope of things, I would go for the Matrix, like the trilogy.
All right, so we have a tiebreaker here.
Okay.
My decision got more interesting here. So now, Chewy, what we got here? You going back in time, or are you freeing your mind here? What's happening? What are we doing here?
I'm freeing my mind here.
Yeah, it's tough choice. I mean, as far as influence, nobody can deny the influence of Back to the Future had on the DeLorean, right? I mean, before that, that was a cultural phenomenon that just went by the wayside and then has been around now for 30 plus years because of Back to the Future.
Self-tying shoes, hoverboards. I mean, this shit's there.
I like I said, I didn't deny the influence. This there. I mentioned the influence.
I understand, but no one mentioned the DeLorean. That was probably the biggest.
I mean, that's part of the whole package.
It's fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's embedded into the cultural zeitgeist in terms of just the impact culturally, right?
With Trump winning and then the pandemic happening, how many people were like, we need a DeLorean because we're in the darkest timeline right now. We need to go change that shit. Like it was, that is in the moment. So yeah.
However, I have to look at it from when I first saw Back to the Future to how I look at it now versus how I look at the Matrix. And obviously the Matrix had a much bigger impact in movie making as a whole, right? It kind of brought things forward, it introduced technology, introduced visuals that were not around. Obviously, Back to the Future is a great story, right?
Sure,
and
I agree. We agree.
It's a dumbed down, time travel movie. Okay, everyone references that. Oh, it's a greatest time travel movie. It's not. It's probably one of the worst because it's just full of plot holes, and I'm not going to get into it. And try to explain to people why this is so dumbed down. Because
I would say yes. Yeah, I agree with that, particularly in the second one. But we're not going to get to the minutia of that. But yes, agreed.
Yeah,
fine.
Exactly.
Right. I got you.
So obviously, as a kid, oh yeah, this is cool. As an adult, where I'm educated, oh man, that is just ridiculously stupid. But whatever.
I asked this. What would you consider a good time travel movie? Like, what is it like? That's the one that done right.
I don't think there's been any movie that's been done right. I think there's been shows.
Then in that case, your argument falls flat. If nothing's been done right,
I'll see Predestination.
You have to have this is done right.
Well, okay, I apologize. Predestination is probably the best one that got it right.
Which one?
Predestination.
Predestination.
Ethan Hawke, very small film movie came like 5-6 years ago. Very small. There's been others. I mean, I got to think about it, but either way, yeah.
I mean, but I'm not throwing in Hot Thomas. I'm not throwing in Time Cop. I'm not throwing all these other, exactly. All these stupid movies. I mean, Bill and Ted's, no. But Predestination. But the thing is, Predestination, I don't consider that a time travel movie. That's more of a story that just kind of happens to where it's the same individual. He's not physically traveling back. It's just that's the nature of the story, right?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, even the time machine before they get to that other third act of the film is decent when he tries to go back and try to fix
the H.G. Wells one.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. I gotta think about it. The RFU did it right, but again, that's a different conversation for different.
We've gone off topic. Okay, but anyway, So between the two, I'm going. I got to dust Back to the Future. I'm sticking with the Matrix as a whole.
Thank you.
And I think a big piece of it is yes, there is a fourth one. Hopefully, it's good coming out.
Hopefully,
I feel like both of you guys are in the same camp of like, listen. Yes, the nuclear bomb is horrible, but look at all the great progress from science after doing a nuclear bomb. I feel like
listen, it is the decision.
It's not story. It is
has been made.
So, look, man. Look, we got to 2000. What is it? 2015, 2020, 21. None of this shit happened, man. Right? I mean,
That's true. You know what? That's a good point. Back to the Future lied to us. All lies. Nothing flies. There's no shark coming out in Jaws 30. The Cubs that win the World Series.
The Cubs won the World Series. And Miami had a baseball team.
That's the only thing it got right. Actually, it's Florida Marlins.
They're in the same division. They can't play each other in the World Series. Come on, man.
That's a fair point. So, yeah.
Timeline.
Listen, yeah. So I think
Charge 23. They should have said Jason 25, man. Then I would have.
The decision has been made. The Matrix has been deemed worthy to remain. Oh, Back to the Future. I hate to do this to you. God. I hate to do it to you.
So, but I'm offended. I'm offended.
It is inevitable, as they say.
That is. So basically, everyone else here agrees we're all in a simulation. That's what you're saying in terms of accuracy.
I don't have a horse in the race. So
ignorance is bliss, baby.
Eric, a quick question just for Eric. Quick answer. If it just would have been Back to the Future versus Matrix, I know Chewie's and George's choice, but yours, what would it be?
If it was just based on the first movie, I would say the first Matrix was a smarter movie. Okay. So I would give it to the first Matrix. As a trilogy whole, I'd still go
which is fair. Which is what I did franchise. I think the answer would have been Matrix. I think unanimously, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. I would probably have gone back. For me, I'll just toss it in. I would have gone Back to the Future as a franchise. I thought it was probably better as a franchise.
I'm so glad the guy who has no leg in the game.
Speaking of the watcher, I just watch.
I can't interfere. I'm an eternal, dude. If there's no deviants showing up on the show, there's nothing I can do.
Spoiler. I haven't seen the movie yet.
It's in the trailer, for Christ's sake.
Technically, I'm a deviant, so it makes sense.
All right, guys. So, okay, that was good. But now let's get down to the main course here. This is going to be an interesting one here. So, like I said, two comedic giants. Obviously, you can see by the thumbnail, it's going to be the great Eddie Murphy, the legendary Eddie Murphy, and I would say legendary Jim Carrey, right? I think two guys whose careers were very similar. Both kind of got the name in the sketch comedy SNL and Living Color for the most part.
Right.
Eddie Murphy was more stand-up.
But but as far as getting notoriety, right? That people knew who Eddie Murphy was.
SNL from SNL, yeah.
Right, both of them did, and as far as Living Color. And both had, both exploded in the theatrical and the movies. And they both kind of tanked after a few years, right? I mean, they reached the pinnacle, but they were comedic gods, right? And they were the it person. They were the movie star, and they both kind of hit the
Both had unrequited Oscar nominations as well.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and they both did. Yeah,
never won, but they were. They were
and the venture a little bit of drama, and now the kind of maybe each resurgence is a bit much, but they're kind of making somewhat of a comeback. We hear Jim Carrey potentially being MODOK as rumors as far as Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He was in Sonic, the greatest video game movie of all time.
That's a different debate for a different day. So that being said, so I'm gonna start with George, right? But I kind of want to. I did my own little list here, right? I did like the top 5 of each one.
Okay.
And I'll toss it around to you guys, right? I'm going to find movies which I thought were his best. You guys can chime in with others that you think should be on the list. So I have Beverly Hills Cop. I got 48 Hours. Right. Trading Places. Coming to America. And this is a little controversial one here. It counts. I put Shrek. That's my fifth.
He did voice work.
It counts.
I mean,
he was a main cast member in every movie. Right. So you got to give it to him.
You got to give him that. So
you got to put in Beverly Hills Cop too. That was the better of the Beverly Hills Cop.
You thought that was wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought 2 was better than 1. Yes.
Okay. 2 was more fun than 1. 1 was a better action movie. 2 was a better comedy.
I never thought I would hear that. Okay, that's fair. All right. Any others that I may have missed here, or?
Well, I guess you can't throw in Raw because that's just
it's a comedy thing. Yeah, I didn't want to count that per se. I love Raw.
So
okay.
You didn't put
I enjoy Dreamgirls though. I enjoy Dreamgirls.
That's fair.
That's solid.
The Nutty Professor. The remake?
Yes,
the Nutty Professor, the Clumps.
I was close on that one. Yeah.
No, you're not putting the Clumps. No, fuck
you. George, you said the Clumps?
Dude, stop it.
I heard the Clumps. Don't put the Clumps.
George, don't make me do it, dude. I like you. Don't make me do it.
How about they call me
Pluto Nash?
How about Dolomite?
No, that was terrible.
Which one?
That was terrible.
They call me Dolomite.
Was terrible.
Dolomite is really good. That's part of his.
That was good too.
Kind of say, but I'll come back or whatever. Yeah, that was a good film. So, but conversely, listen, every coin has 2 sides, right? So, I have the bottom 5.
Okay.
So we got 1,000 Words, Holy Man.
Holy Man. I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Holy Man was bad.
3 was bad.
Obviously,
was
Pluto Nash. Like those
Norbert.
Norbert is the other one I had.
Norbert, yeah. Oh listen, God, that was terrible.
You gotta take it. You gotta take the good with the bad. I mean, it is what it is. So he ain't perfect. So
It also another movie that is highly underappreciated. Amazing Eddie Murphy work. Bowfinger.
Good movie.
Not a fan, but I get it. But it is.
Yes.
It is well received. Yes. I'm not a fan of it, but that's
it's more really wow. Okay,
I don't know why.
Good movie though.
But Eddie Murphy,
it is a Steve Martin movie.
Fuck out of that.
No, I know. Yeah, I get it. But I get it. It's not for me, but I get it. I'm not gonna argue against that.
Yes, it is a good movie.
Let's do Tom Carrey. He's my top 5. Tom Carrey. So I have
Jim Carrey.
Tom Carrey is a different. El hermano.
Wow.
El hermano.
My bad. This Dan George's. The clubs got me rattled, dude. Shit.
Right.
So I have Ace Ventura, the Liar Liar. I have the Truman Show, Man on the Moon, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay.
Great picks.
Yeah, I don't think I'm missing. Oh, maybe I am.
I mean,
The Mask, maybe.
George, and not Ace Ventura 2, George. Just don't even.
The Mask is pretty solid.
The Mask is solid.
The Mask is pretty solid.
The Mask is solid. Yes, absolutely. Not top 5, but yes, it's there. I like that one. I know people are gonna say Dumb and Dumber. I get it.
I mean that's like the most turn your brain off movie you can get into for Dumb and Dumber. Like it is like it sounds
right. People love it. I get it.
I actually I'm more partial to Me, Myself, and Irene. I think that's really funny.
Okay, good movie too.
Yeah.
And I let's see here. I mean, yeah, I think those are the ones that are like the perfect Jim Carrey vehicle movies. Like that's the only ones I would say. The Mask.
Now, if you're going Sonic the Hedgehog here, but
that's not top.
That's
nowhere near top 5.
That's video game movie of all time. Not his real vehicle, but it is the greatest video game movie of all time. Box office.
Saying in the research.
But as good as Jim Carrey was, he's not absolved from crap. So I have.
Of course, he's got right.
I got Dark Crimes, The Number 23. The incredible Burt Wonderstone. God, what a disaster that was. Yes Man and Fun with Dick and Jane. Those were.
You know what? I actually
there may be more, but
Yes Man, and I like Dick and Jane. I'm sorry, I thought those were good.
Didn't Jim Carrey do? Jim Carrey also did Lemony Snicket's, didn't he?
Yeah, that was bad.
That was.
I did not like that one.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not. But
also, let's be honest. Batman Returns. I mean, I love.
I was this close to putting it. I was this close to putting it in there.
I would have put it at the it was great at the moment. But like in retrospect,
I wouldn't even go as far as to say at the. I don't think any moment that was ever great. But I was
in high school and I thought like this is great, but I was very much on the Jim Carrey train at the time.
You were young and stupid. I understand
that. Exactly. But
now you're just old. Now you're just old and stupid. But hey, at least you're old.
Yeah. So I'm wiser. Like
there you go.
But yeah, I would have put Batman Returns. That was not great. Mr. Popper's Penguins. That's a hard piece of garbage right there.
I don't think I even
that was terrible too.
So listen, I mean, they all have had great classic films. At the top 48 hours, barely. These are all classics, right? Ace Ventura is No one thought Ace Ventura came out was going to be what it was, right?
A monster.
You forgot the cable guy, dude.
I like the cable guy. Yeah, I put top
five.
Cable
guy is good, but it's
a good movie. I like
much more in that middle. It's good. He's great in it, but it's not like this is a movie you got to recommend to your friend. You would recommend Man of the Moon just as easy. You would recommend Ace Ventura just as easy as you would recommend.
For me, Eternal Sunshine is the best film. That's my
Eternal Sunshine.
I love that fucking movie, no doubt. But I'll say it's funny because you bring a cable guy. I remember. I always had the movie memorized just because when in college you got one of those those boxes, and it was half working. So most of the channels, like even the porn, was all fuzzy. But the only thing I almost showed in constant 24 hours, like literally every 2 hours, was Cable Guy. Like, all right, Cable Guy again. Like, fucking Cable Guy. So it's like I learned, even if I didn't like it, I learned to love it.
Billy. Like that's the whole fucking thing is so great.
They will kill us both. By the way, let's get back on track. So George, here we go, man. So we got two comedic giants, the good and bad. Great stuff between them, and they were top of the game, unlike any other comedians we've seen as far as film.
Yeah.
So that being said, George, you can only keep one here. So is it going to be Eddie Murphy or Jim Carrey?
See, again, I'm going by pop culture value and what they brought to everybody, pop culture wise. So Jim Carrey got to go, but Eddie Murphy for me. That wasn't even comedy.
There wasn't even that tough of a choice. There was.
Nope. No. Eddie Murphy's been more influential. Yes, I mean, Jim Carrey had that wave and success, but it's like 15 minutes compared to Eddie Murphy, man. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's been around longer. Started out in SNL. The other one didn't live in color. I mean, granted, It Live in Color was good for the time, but not that many people know these days, In Live in Color, man. They know Eddie Murphy. They know all these characters. They know the good and the bad.
That's fair.
So to me, without a question,
wow.
Eddie Murphy, bro. Eddie Murphy's
decision on Joe.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy. No ifs and buts about it. Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
That guy's icon in my book.
No,
Jim Carrey too.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Don't get me wrong. I like Ace Ventura. There's a lot of funny lines in there. And it's quotable. But I still watch the. Loser. Like when he goes, I heard animals in there, Ventura. And then he goes, so, all that stuff. And he goes, what?
Such a great one.
Animals? Where? And then he goes, look around. Whatever. But
all right, Joe, we don't need that play of Ace Ventura, dude. We know what it is.
Yeah, Ace Ventura, the impact,
You just shit on Jim Carrey. Now you want to talk good about him. Shame on you.
Right? You see?
So Chewy, let's go to Chewy.
He held the laces out, damn laces out.
That's true. So Chewy, speaking of laces, who would you hold your laces up for?
Not George, I'll tell you that, dude. I'm going Murphy, man.
See?
And the reason is his highs, as far as what we consider comedic classics, I think just a shade higher than what Jim Carrey achieved. I mean, Trading Places is one of the all-time funniest movies and still holds up. What that came out 85 or 2021. I mean, geez Louise, man. I mean, that movie is just so great, dude. Beverly Hills Cop, you know, I mean, these movies and Coming to America. I mean, geez, man, that is just all-time classic, great comedies. I don't think that Jim Carrey movies will hold up over time as much as his has already. And obviously, his movie's been a little bit longer, you know, 5-10 years longer than Jim Carrey's. Okay. And so that's where I go. That's where and he's obviously still influential today, right? I mean, he's still, you know, some of it's not so good, but he's still pulling stuff out of his ass.
I gotcha. Eric, let's go to you, man. So we know what the decision is going to be, but, you know, let's hear you out. Do you agree with the prior gentleman here?
You know what? There's going to be two reasons why I'm about to make the statement I'm about to make. And one of them is in spite of these two fucking dummies taking the position it is, that I now have to just to be the rebel. I got to be the rebel.
No, you don't have to. It could be unanimous. It could be unanimous. Thanos, he advised me, loves unanimous decisions. I don't want to let him influence you. I'm just saying.
And you know, I like how Thanos likes everything to be perfectly balanced, but I'm gonna fucking tilt the scale. I as great as Murphy is, and I like the golden child. Like I like Eddie Murphy. Like there's no, you know, it's just one of those. I think he's great, and I love. Like I would be lying if I told you that listening to Raw and Delirious was not a massive part of my early adult life, my teen years, like from like 12, 13 when I first got copies of it. I used to listen to that shit every day and just invited friends over and we'd laugh so hard like our stomachs hurt. Like it was hysterical. But those specials have not aged particularly well. No. And I mean, they just be honest, like even Eddie Murphy.
It's fair, yeah.
Even Eddie Murphy said, like, man, Delirious and Raw, those are rough to listen to now.
You couldn't have that now, obviously.
No way.
Speaking of woke, Joe, you brought it up earlier. That guaranteed.
That would not fly right now.
Fly at
all. Not at all.
But it's a product of its time, so that's fine. We're not going to.
Exactly, I get it. And I'm not taking anything away from him about that. But because of that as well, as much as I love Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy has this career that much like a vampire in Brooklyn refuses to die.
Oh,
it is
just old school vampire.
Listen, I'm telling you,
I forgot about that one.
Hey,
shame on you, Eddie. Shame on you.
Hey guys, I'm gonna boomerang this around. Check it out.
So you're gonna tell me Once Bitten is better than Vampire in Brooklyn?
Oh fuck yeah!
Yes.
Once Bitten is way better than Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to admit that, you got a bigger problem to deal with in this show right here. I'm just saying right there.
I hate to agree, but yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, Earth Girls Are Easy are better than Vampire in Brooklyn.
Earth Girls
are be honest. I'm going deep cuts because that's how much I appreciate the work.
He's bringing the obscure movies. Okay,
that's how I do. Because, like I said, I didn't talk to girls for a long time. A lot of free time on my hands. I watched a lot of shit. So that all being said, Jim Carrey. If you talk to people on the street now of different age groups and backgrounds, I've day to day heard passively more unintentional Jim Carrey references than I hear Eddie Murphy references in the pop culture zeitgeist. If you want to say just simple like, alrighty then, like that shit, it goes all the way back to Jim Carrey. No one said that shit until Jim Carrey, just like smoking or I mean those are the two, or like like I like her a lot, like all that shit is little bits. You hear those to this day.
Saying there's a chance. Forgot about that one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Come on.
Like that is a gift that people send these like in the middle of text conversations. So all that shit, I have to go Jim Carrey because here's what I'll say about Jim Carrey. Is it more superficial than some of the stuff that Eddie Murphy's done? Absolutely. Does he still, when he goes deep, is he able to strike a commitment to an idea that is bigger than what he's done, like The Truman Show, like Man on the Moon? Yes. Even 23, as bad as it is, was a more bolder decision than anything that Eddie Murphy's done in his filmography. Eddie Murphy does stuff that he's like, this will make me the most amount of money and appeal to the most basic of audience.
Pluto Nash notwithstanding, of course, but go ahead.
I mean, no, that he goes, comedy in space and me? How the fuck not? That was all like broad as, I mean, fucking haunted mansion. All right, so let's just
killing me.
So are we gonna go? Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Since our time is almost running to an end. Almost.
But that is a Truman Show. That shit.
There you go.
Reference to this day, and a smarter movie. Jim Carrey is bold enough to pick movies that are either headier than a standard Eddie Murphy comedy, or specifically taking a chance on something. Son of a bitch.
And there we go, guys.
Jim,
I'm sorry that my argument is right, and you can't deal with the truth.
I'll say this: if I don't have a vote again, if there's deviants who are attacking the show right now, I will gladly jump in and say I probably would have leaned more Jim Carrey because of the dramatic stuff.
God,
was really good.
Damn it.
Probably, but there are no deviants here, so I can't interfere. Let the humans do what they do. Jim, sorry, my man. It is what it is. So tough. I was thinking you guys were gonna keep Eddie though. To be perfectly, I thought that was gonna be a choice. I mean, look, they're both fantastic. I mean, let's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's classic.
It
is a tough choice. It is a tough choice.
But you're right. At the end of the day, with Eddie, with Better as Cop and Trading Places, Coming to America, too. You're right. I mean, we got a sequel now. Not that it was great, but what I mean, but Coming to America is one of the best comedies ever, as far as I'm concerned.
And by the way, big
awesome.
shout out to, and people don't talk about this movie enough, and I really love this movie. Harlem Nights is amazing. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
It's
so
goddamn underrated. Fun. Yeah. Speaking of another comedic giant and Richard Pryor, you know.
Yes, sir.
It was everybody from the 80s. That was literally everybody that was in a big black comedy was in Harlem Nights.
Arsenio Hall, I think, was in it too now.
Arsenio, everybody was in it.
But you name it.
Richard Harris was in it, and Red Fox. Like everybody was in it. It was great.
Red Fox,
yeah, man. Everybody was in that shit.
Yeah, everybody was in that.
Yeah, no, that is. I'm trying to find the cast real quick. Red Fox.
Danny Aiello. You had Della Reese in there. You had a bunch.
And don't forget the best line of the movie to this day. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. There's a great joke of like when they're shooting at Eddie Murphy and there's two machine guns, and you hear just the one hanger go pop pop, like all that shit, fucking hysterical. But the funniest line in that movie is, "We got to get a girl on Calhoun's guy. Do you got somebody?" He's like, "Motherfucker, I got a girl whose pussy's so good. If you threw it up in the air, it becomes sunshine." Like, God damn it. That is the funniest fucking line in the movie. Because when you see her, it's like, "What's your name?" Sunshine. Well, see, holy shit, the most amazing.
You're just lending to the credence that Chewie and George's decision was the right one.
But it wasn't, because it is a superficial comedy versus a smarter comedy.
Sure,
and I give credit's due, but Jim Carrey is a better overall body.
It's just like Back to the Future is superficial time travel versus other movies.
How fucking dare you?
On that note,
guys,
if anything, this show has proven like there is an age gap, is what it is. There is an older and a younger. I'm just saying.
Well, that being said, so we'll leave it there. So congratulations to Eddie Murphy and to the Matrix franchise for remaining here with us. Our hearts are heavy by the loss of course, Jim Carrey and Back to the Future. We love all four of them, of course. Hope you guys had fun. Of course, comment everyone below. Do you agree with who you have picked to be dusted and why? And give us ideas to talk about next week. We'll probably come back in a couple weeks of another big topic, maybe topics. I think this went pretty well. That being said,
I think next time can we help Eric decide, who's who, Oliphant, Barnes, or Duhamel?
Yeah, Eric does have an elephant. But let's not get into it. This is the end of the show. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Forget, check out Watch List every Sunday.
You're lucky you're in a losing
every Friday. So like the video, share, subscribe, support us. Of course, we'll have a lot more fun in the next few weeks and the next coming months. We'll have some good topics for you guys. That being said, gentlemen, appreciate you joining us. Everyone, take care. Have a good one.
Peace.
Ah.